The experience of binge eating gets described in so many different ways. Maybe you feel like your relationship with food is just so chaotic and you often end up super uncomfortably full. Or you feel like you're good during the daytime, but it's at nighttime when all hell breaks loose and you just can't stop eating. Or is it that you've always just identified yourself as an emotional eater and a stress eater and cannot see any other way? If any of these sound like your version of binge eating, I got you. Because in today's video, we're gonna talk about the one surprising thing that is behind every single binge eating, and also the 4 different subtypes of that, so you can identify in particular which one is at the root cause of your binge eating, so you can start dissolving it. Hi, I'm Mia, intuitive eating dietitian, body image coach, and nutrition professor, and over the past 13 years, I've helped hundreds of women heal their lifelong struggles with food and body, and often binge eating comes up as one of their biggest struggles. But it's also one of the things that is wildly misunderstood because you see so many articles out there that talk about binge eating as if it's something that you need to control with your willpower or distract yourself with by going on walks or dunking your face in a bowl of ice water. But the thing is, all these things are just surface level distractions of controlling the urge to binge and not actually getting to the root cause of what might be driving that urge to binge. And the thing is, unless we get to the root cause of what's actually driving the urge to binge, it will never become fully resolved because you would only be working at the symptom level of trying to mitigate the behavior of binge eating without going to the root cause of what's driving that need, that urge to want to turn to food. And as a disclaimer, I also want to differentiate that there is a clinical level of a binge eating disorder, which is a more serious eating disorder, and that deserves and needs clinical support. And this video is in no way to replace that official diagnosis. So, the one thing that is at the root of every single binge eating is deprivation. I can confidently tell you, as a past eating disorder dietitian, now working with women recovering from chronic dieting and disordered eating, that no binge eating happens without first some form of deprivation. There is some kind of need that is not being met. There are 4 subtypes of this deprivation, and 2 of them are directly related to food, while 2 of them are actually not about the food per se, but it ends up being that food becomes a scapegoat for those unmet needs. And by the way, before we dive into these subtypes of deprivation that is driving your binge eating, if you want to get an accurate assessment of which of these subtypes are actually happening in your binge eating, you can take the What's Driving My Binge Eating quiz in the description box, which is completely free, and it comes with a free workshop. So check that out in the description box if you want to get that assessment. The first type of deprivation that is driving binge eating is deprivation of fuel, meaning you're just not eating enough. And this one often is a very tricky one because a lot of times my clients will say, but Mia, I'm not dieting anymore. I am eating all of my 3 meals a day and I'm eating enough, but still I'm finding myself eating a whole lot of food later at night. And the thing is, while there are some of the other reasons that might be driving this, which we're gonna get to in a minute, a lot of times, so many people underestimate how much fuel their body actually needs. And when I say this, it's not just how many calories you think you need, but the amount of fuel and the number of calories that your body actually needs just to maintain and run your body's regular functions. Your heart beating, your blood pumping and delivering nutrients and oxygen to all cells of your body, your lungs to breathe, and the amount of energy that it takes for your brain to keep working. And your brain takes up to 20% of your whole body's needs, which is so surprising for a lot of people. And when I used to work with college students, they might often say, well, I'm just gonna be studying at the library all day, so I don't need to have lunch. Well, are you using your brain during that time? Are you stop breathing during that time? Of course not. So you always need calories and you need sufficient amount of it regularly throughout the day to support all your normal functions. But a lot of times this amount of fuel that you need gets really underestimated. And so when you think you're eating enough, or maybe you know that you're not eating enough because you have a chaotic schedule and you're just on the go, 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 and then you have this one big meal later in the day and you wonder why you get uncomfortably full, that could be because your body is going through this catch-up eating, meaning it didn't get enough fuel during the day, and so now it's trying to catch up with all the fuel needs you have. If your body is not consistently meeting this basic fuel needs, your binge eating might be driven by the deprivation of fuel, not eating enough food. So the way to resolve that is that you actually need to eat enough food regularly throughout the day. The second type of deprivation that might be driving your binge eating is not about how much you eat, but what you're eating. And so you could be having a deprivation of satisfaction, meaning you could be eating enough calories throughout the day, but you're not feeling true satisfaction from it. And satisfaction is this feeling that you get not in your stomach, but in your brain. There is a satisfaction center in your brain where when it's fully lit up, you feel like it hit the spot. That is when you are satisfied. And you get that feeling when you actually eat the foods you want in the amount that you want it. So this is another tricky thing where sometimes people will tell me, Mia, I'm not dieting. I am allowing myself to eat the ice cream. I'm allowing myself to eat the cookies. But when I ask them this next question, they might be like, oh, which is, are you predetermining how much you're letting yourself eat that? Or are you letting your body decide that? Do you see what I mean? Because you can't let yourself eat Oreos going into it thinking, okay, I can have up to 2, but not any more than that. That can be sneaky restriction where you think you're giving yourself that permission, but you're not actually being fully satisfied. And so when this kind of deprivation builds up over time, it could be one day you opened a package of Oreos and you wonder why it was so hard to stop and you had to eat the whole thing. And it could be because you were driven by this deprivation of satisfaction that you didn't feel in the previous rounds when you ate the Oreos. So the way to mitigate this is you need to give yourself full permission to actually eat the thing that you want in the amounts that you want in. Now we move on to the next 2 types of deprivation that doesn't directly relate to food, but is manifesting in you coping with food. And so the first one is deprivation of your physical needs. So this one means, are you tired all the time? Are you stressed all the time? Are you getting enough rest or movement? The ways that your body actually has physical needs, but those needs might not be getting met. And guess what? When you are sleep deprived, when you are overworked, when you have difficulty taking breaks, then this buildup of these unmet physical needs can get channeled into what feels like binge eating. It's not a coincidence if after pulling an all-nighter studying for an exam or working on a project or being super stressed out about taking care of everyone else in your family and putting yourself last, that at a late night, when you finally get a moment to yourself, that you feel like, oh, I'm just gonna let go, I'm just gonna unwind, and it ends up being eating a whole pint of ice cream and then maybe a bag of chips, and you wonder what happened, but it could be your body was finding a way to compensate with that by diving into food. Maybe food even felt like a reward for you. I had a client once who was a very type A, perfectionistic, always on the go, go, go type of client. And after a few sessions, she was able to recognize that, oh, my intense binges that I have at night are the only time that I actually let myself relax a bit. This is the only time I let myself rest and let go. And I'm associating eating food during this time as almost like taking care of myself, even when she ends up feeling worse because she feels uncomfortably full. But she wasn't recognizing that what was at the root of that was actually her sleep deprivation, her lack of taking breaks. It was these unmet needs that were actually driving that. And so in this way, food becomes a coping mechanism. It becomes an escape where you're trying to make up for that lack. And the thing is, a lot of times how diet culture preaches all the shoulds, or how the hustle culture tells us to just keep going and going without a rest, and it's almost like a badge of honor to keep going, right? These things are the very things that put us out of touch with our body. And when you can't feel your body's needs, of course, then it's hard to give it what it needs. Do you see what I mean? So if you find yourself in this category, what you really need to do is to give yourself moments to check in with yourself, to ask, what do I need right now? Do I need to take a break? Do I need a snack? So that I can prevent this from building up. You need to build this connection and care with your body, and to recognize that your body has valid needs that deserve to be met. And finally, the last type of deprivation that could be driving your binge eating is the deprivation of emotional needs. And this is when you might find yourself feeling like you're not only binge eating, but also emotionally eating. So are your binges coupled with some emotions, whether you're trying to run from a certain emotion or food becomes a way to self-soothe that emotion? And this often happens when you don't know how to feel and deal with the uncomfortable emotions, what we associate as negative emotions. Because sometimes it can be like, oh, if I feel sad, if I feel lonely, then this is a bad thing. And you don't know how to face that emotion. So a way to just self-soothe yourself and just feel better about it might be by turning to food. And if this is you, and I think a lot of us, I'm going to include myself in this, emotions is especially a tricky subject for a lot of people in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. I grew up in the 80s and mental health was really not a thing. We didn't talk about emotional attunement. We didn't talk about how to deal with emotions. I also come from an Asian family, and so it's also was not really a thing in the Asian culture as well. So there's multiple reasons why it became something maybe difficult to deal with, but it was such a game changer later in life when I started going to my own therapy, when I started to learn more about mental health, and I worked in a student counseling center at a college campus, and it really gave me a different perspective on emotions and allowed me to see emotions as kind of like a messenger about what your needs are. When you feel lonely, that's the messenger that is telling you that, oh, we need connection, we need some affection. And those are valid needs, not something to feel ashamed of or something that I'm feeling because I did something wrong. And when we can recognize that, there can be so much compassion. And when you have compassion, you create the space to attend to that emotion because you're no longer judging yourself, right? And when you can cope with emotions in this way, in this more healthier way, then food no longer has to be a scapegoat. And so I hope you can give yourself lots of compassion and a lot of grace if you feel like, ooh, I didn't really learn how to deal with emotions when I was younger, but now as an adult, now as I heal my relationship with food, my body, and with myself, I can be the one to change that, to attend to my emotions and take care of them in a different way. So can you see how each of these 4 areas are valid reasons why binge eating might be happening, driven by these different type of deprivations? I hope this gave you a deeper understanding, and I cannot stress how important it is to not judge yourself, to not criticize yourself or shame yourself if you feel like this is something that you've been dealing with for a long time. It takes time to heal, especially if you spent years and years controlling and fighting and restricting food. And so again, if you want to dive a little bit deeper and find exactly which of these 4 areas and to what degree is driving your specific struggles around binge eating, take the assessment quiz, What's Driving My Binge Eating, that you can find in the description box, along with the workshop that will explain your results. And this is going to give you so much clarity to start working on the root cause of that deprivation so that it doesn't constantly come up as an urge to binge, so you can eat food in peace and eat in a way that allows you to have a truly healthful and a happy relationship with food. And if you feel that you have a really harsh voice inside your head that sounds like a food police, then check out this video that is all about food guilt, and that will teach you the steps on how you can let go of it.